Care to record the meeting for us? Thank you. The second order of business, we usually do a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we occupy the unceded ancestral lands and homes of Piscataway Nation, a nation that once stretched from Virginia through St. Mary's County all the way up into Baltimore. The descendant tribes of the original Piscataway can still be found here living and thriving in Maryland, and they achieved tribal recognition from the state in 2012. If I'm not mistaken, there are about 7 clusters of Piscataway in Maryland, one of which, very interestingly, has a land reclamation project and also historical and cultural outreach, which can be found through the Piscataway Conoy Tribe's website. All right, a brief announcement. After the meeting, we'll be leaving the Zoom open for a while for anyone who wants to talk, hang out, decompress, or anything else you need. This day in history. On May 8th, 1969, Carol Ann Marie Gist, the first African-American woman to win the Miss USA title, was born in Detroit, Michigan. On May 8th, 1958, in one of the closing rounds of Brown versus the Board of Education, President Eisenhower ordered the Federalized National Guard withdrawn from some of the high schools in Little Rock, Arkansas. Committee announcements. All committees are actively looking for volunteers, participants, and some are looking for leadership. These include events, rapid response, IT, social media, communications, book club, coming to the table, and the kindness committee. Logos. OnePasadena has a partnership with PlatinumTees.com, a local BIPOC-owned small business, to bring you OnePasadena branded t-shirts and hoodies. Grab yours today. We are also partnering with our own favorite local graphic designer for bumper stickers and clings. So anyone who is interested in OnePasadena bumper stickers or window clings, you can search on Facebook for the Design Stew Shop. I will attempt to drop both of those into the chat unless someone else beats me to it before the end of the meeting.
I am modeling my OnePasadena t-shirt. This is an extra large. It is very, very comfortable. It's very soft. It's cotton. And I don't know if this is backwards for you all. No, yes. OnePasadena addressing racism in our community, with the logo that
Very nice.
Green created. So I think it's a good quality t-shirt.
Thank you, dear. As always, I think you're a lovely model.
Thank you, dear.
Book club is ongoing through the private Facebook page. Anyone interested, we can provide the link and get you an invite. Marianne Dubé is running that. And in the month of May, they will be discussing the podcast, Nice White Parents. Coming to the Table meets on the 4th Sunday of every month at 7 p.m., currently via Zoom. And we will be meeting in May on the 23rd. Communications. Submissions for the monthly newsletter should be in by May 15th. If you have or know of a local BIPOC-owned business, we're interested in featuring it in the newsletter. Please email us at onepasadenamd@gmail.com. Somebody hopefully will post that in the chat quickly with questions or submissions, or if you're interested in joining the newsletter team.
I have an appointment coming up with Dr. Karen Michael, and I will just bring up like, oh, by the way, did it ever work out that you would like to have a little piece in the newsletter? So I'll follow up personally when I see her staff and getting some dental work done. So, hey, thank you.
That would be outstanding. Thank you. All right, I dropped in the link to the May newsletter in the chat. Maryland legislative update. Debbie, do you have anything to say for a wrap up of this year's Maryland legislative season?
Did I do that at the last meeting? I think I did. I don't have it in front of me. We're still waiting on Governor Hogan to sign more things or to let them just become law. He has, I think, until the end of the month to do that. He did indicate that he's likely to sign the bill about repealing the state song because he does not especially like the song. I have not yet seen it come through. I didn't check today, but I have been checking his website pretty regularly to see if he has any more bill signings scheduled. And he hasn't had one in about a month. So nothing else new. In the newsletter is pretty much the most recently, updated information that I have about the bills.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie. There are two actions coming up that OnePasadena is interested in. One is initiated by our own Erica, Prayers into Action Rally. Erica, do you want to tell us more about that?
Yes, it is next Sunday from 2 to 3 at the corner of Megathy Beach and Mountain Road, right in front of the Safeway gas station there. We're hoping to be able to expand further out in both directions, but we'll see what we get. I am happy to say that my church responded and said they're going to advertise for it. So hopefully we'll get that. And I am on the pastoral council for my church. So I'm going to mention it to them as well Tuesday night at their meeting. So I'm hoping to get some people from that. Other than that, I have reached out to some other churches and the United Black Clergy and some other groups. So I'm hoping, I don't know what to expect, but I'm hoping that anyone who is interested will come and just, the main idea is we are just going to pray for an hour. I ordered 5 signs that I'm going to have, they're the ones that stick in the ground, and I'm going to have them sort of along there so people will know, that we're praying for an end to racism and that we will be put into action. And we'll just hope for the best. So I hope you can come if you're able.
I announced it to people in my church, Annapolis Friends meeting, and I do think some people will join me, a handful at least. And people were going to bring some signs. Now, I know we want it to be, what do your signs say?
So I figured for mine, it's just gonna, I haven't written them yet, but the main one will be right at the corner, and it's gonna say, we pray for an end to racism. And then I haven't gotten the wording yet, but something about, our prayers going into action. I just don't have the words for that yet. And then the others might be, a Bible quote about, caring for our neighbor, something along those lines. So yeah, for signs, anything like that is good. I was trying to avoid just like the regular, like stock, like signs, just like, Black Lives Matter, but like not the usual signs, sort of more geared towards prayer. And
a couple people said they would bring Black Lives Matter signs, and I didn't know if that would be neutral, negative, positive.
I mean, if they want to bring them, that's
not
I'm
a
not,
problem,
I'm not
but
going to turn anybody away. But
yeah.
Yes. I think having these signs out, people will understand that it'll probably be a mix of different signage, and that's fine. The basic idea is just we want people to know what we're there for. And I think just to show that, because I think sometimes religious groups can be more associated with the other side, and like the people that stormed the Capitol prayed, and and it's like,
Right.
that's so contrary to actual Christianity or different religious things.
Right.
So I think this is an important thing to sort of mend
Yes.
the groups and show that there's people who do care, that also, believe in God, or whatever, whatever God you believe in, to sort of make a difference in that way.
I really welcome this and thank you. I think I'll at least have a handful of people to add.
That'll be great. I'll look forward to seeing you.
Erica, I have a question. Do you have any connection with ACT?
I do not.
Okay. I think it's what they're called. They have the yellow T-shirts and they show up to county council meetings sometimes. I think that they're a group of connected clergy and church. Okay. I am, goodness. I am not a Methodist, but I know a Methodist minister that is active in ACT.
Okay.
Could you possibly, like, she's not at the church that I was attending, but I am Facebook friends with her and have contact with her. Could you give me some information to so I can share it with her, preferably
Yes.
tomorrow, so she could not only share it with ACT, but also possibly with her. She's not in Pasadena, she's in Davidsonville, I think, right now, but
Okay.
still, it's countywide.
I just forwarded the part of the newsletter that you explained so well what this was about and where it was. That's what I used as an announcement for my church group. I mean, that could be useful, I think, in a lot of ways. It has all the information and the intent.
Yeah, so it is all in the actual event itself, which I can forward to you. Yeah, I'll forward. Someone did mention ACT to me actually, and I wrote it down, but I wasn't sure sort of how to find them. So that would be helpful.
I know one member definitely because I recognized her.
I tagged Ryan Sermons, who's like in ACT. He's from the United Church of Christ in Annapolis. I tagged him in a post about it. He did not, I don't know if he saw it. We're not Facebook friends. I don't know if he saw it or not. I ended up just untagging him after a few days because I didn't get any response from him. But I mean, he's
And
generally
what
a good
about-
guy.
What about Jay Offer? Has he been?
I haven't. Is he in part of United Black Clergy?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
I'm sure.
And the NAACP, right?
And yeah, and I see India put Linda Davis, which, yeah, I know her, so I can reach out to her as well. Yeah, United Black Clergy sort of asked me right initially. They're like, who's I think they were a little confused about it. They're like, who's sponsoring this and that sort of thing. And I was kind of like, I wanted to do this and I'm doing it. Like, it's not a big, like, we're not having big speakers. And so I think they were a little confused and kind of stopped responding to me. But that doesn't mean they're not coming or anything like that. They just might be a little confused about what I'm trying to do. But maybe I'll reach out to Jay Offer himself. Let's see. Because I know he's been, he's come to the schools and done things like that here in Pasadena.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I'll reach out to Linda as well, since I know
That
her
might
already.
be, instead of going directly through a group where they're used to, well, we're a whole group and we have speakers and this is a big thing. It's like, hey, I'm a person and I'm a Christian and this is how I'm expressing my faith and I would like to invite you.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Another event that OnePasadena is tracking and looking to participate in, at least in attendance, is the Juneteenth Festival in Annapolis. being held by the Anne Arundel County NAACP. I've dropped the URL to that event in the chat. I believe that is scheduled for June 18th. Double check me on that because I'm running a little low on battery at the moment. But we would be delighted to have a strong OnePasadena showing in support for the Juneteenth celebration. All right, so the next question, or the next section is community questions. This is where you guys can bring ideas out for OnePasadena to consider and hopefully put into motion. Tell us what you think we should be doing. Tell us where we're going wrong, or pretty much otherwise an open mic as to how you think we should be addressing racism in the Pasadena area. With that, does anybody have any questions in regards to how we should be addressing racism in our area?
Well, in my community where there are some friends of color, African American friends, I'm personally trying to spend time getting to know better these people in my community. And one of my neighbors is very interested in providing more information about the history of Beechwood Park. And also I'm becoming very interested in establishing kind of an oral history of my community, because I'm really afraid it's going to be lost as we become, the proportion of African Americans in our neighborhood is smaller and smaller over the years. So anyway, I am bringing up to these people as I move along OnePasadena as an organization, and would love to see if somebody might, feel called to get engaged with us. So it's not really a recommendation. It's just little by little, I'm trying to see what I could do to get a couple people hooked on expanding our group.
That's
I will
awesome.
also bring up to them, this makes me think of, I should see if any of the people or my acquaintances here might be interested in the prayer rally, because they're very active in churches. And one is right there at the Methodist AME maybe church right there on Arctic Circle, right in Lake Shore, like right there. So I'll see what I can do on that.
That would be outstanding, Jean. I'd also say I would expect the Anne Arundel County Historical Society would be very interested in what you put together.
Yeah. And actually, Linda Davis has already been a great contact for me, because through Northern Arundel Community Cultural Preservation Society, that's a great avenue because it's focusing on Northern Anne Arundel County. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. All right. Anyone else have any other thoughts or ideas as to events or activities that we should be engaging in?
I think we just need to, like personally, each do our best to sort of just change the climate here in Pasadena from, this racist town. Just in our, I think, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but, I think everybody has a friend or two or more who, you see posts and you're like, oh my gosh, who is this? And like, just sort of the ignorance. And sometimes it's someone who you think is, a pretty nice person otherwise. So just each like personal responsibility of helping those people understand, but like fostering those relationships so that you can, like when you see other things that they're posting, like, oh, that's such a nice dress you have on today. Like, I love that picture you posted, that sort of thing. And like fostering that relationship so that when it comes up, you can have those difficult conversations more easily because you've established that, relationship more so.
Thank you, Erica. And yes, Tina.
Well, I was thinking about, I've shared the group with many, many people. And Randy gave me a good reminder recently about the group, and I shared some more. But one person commented after I shared, saying, "Oh, I mentioned a problem at the high school, Chesapeake High School. Oh, the problem was taken care of." Or I'll hear other things there really wasn't a problem from different people. So I don't want to exaggerate, but a few people made comments like that, and that seems to be a real barrier. Like they don't see it as a problem. They're not saying anything nasty or negative or saying anything racist, but there seems to be some um, disbelief or not recognizing it. And I wasn't at the school. I don't know all the details, and I know lots of things can happen. Whenever there's something I hear about, I think about the big picture of an event. But it just seems that to be a pervasive attitude. Oh, it was taken care of, and it's not an ongoing issue. So I don't know how that can help get more people involved. I don't know. It seems like if you can't reach everyone, but if you can reach some people and explain, hey, this is a real problem. It's not just this or that. It just seems like there's a lot of denial or just disbelief, or they just haven't experienced it. I don't know how to reach out and make a difference there, but that seems to be a big issue. How can you get this message across where people are open to listening at least? That's all.
Not only is that a difficult problem in addressing racism, that's one of the fundamental difficulties in communication. And there's people who are better at communication than I am that have written entire books on it, which clearly they were being quite successful in conveying their message, because I don't remember any of their advice. But yes, it is a difficult problem. A lot of people would like to discard the problem from their minds as quickly as possible. And it's kind of like what Martin Luther King said, and I'll do a horrible paraphrase, but the silent white moderate is almost as dangerous of an enemy as the active racist. Because if you desire peace and tranquility as opposed to justice and equality, then we're not making any friends here. And breaking down those walls is a difficult challenge.
There's a message here from India. Would India want us to read it out loud?
Usually, but I'll wait for an acknowledgement that it's okay for us to read it. India, you okay with that? Okay. One of India's pieces of advice, we can always encourage people to stop just forming review committees and actually take action. And a second piece of advice, speak up if you see others do tone policing as well, just as bad as saying direct racist things.
I wanted to mention, sorry, go ahead, John.
I was just going to thank India for her contributions. Go ahead, dear.
I was just going to mention, we had the Our Voices Matter thing last year. I believe it was, where people spoke about racism that they experienced in Pasadena, and that might be something to share with those who are doubting that it happens, because then they have to actually hear individual experiences from the people who were experiencing them, and not secondhand or something that was reported on the news or something.
Thank you, dear. A very good point. My arguing as to whether or not Pasadena would have a racism problem I would probably go back to the last two Maryland State hate bias reports. Pasadena had the unfortunate pleasure of being number one in 2018. And I want to say we made the cut for the top 10 zip codes in Maryland for racial incidents in 2019. Does that sound about right to you, dear?
It does.
Thank you. Tina, thank you for that. That's given me, both you and Erica's commentaries have given me, the impetus to think about that and see what we can possibly come up with. Oh, and also another comment from India. Keep track of Corinne Frank as well. Her statements on Wednesday had no actual racist language in them, supporting Northeast as a new name to the middle school. But if you listen, it was filled with frustrating, inaccurate messages about the community. This is also true. In general, working to change Pasadena's culture, we will have to focus not only on Corinne, but on several of our elected officials and encourage them to be their better selves, or to find people who can be their better selves and do a better job of representing us. Thank you
I
again,
agree.
India.
I think Corinne made it clear early on who she represents, and it's not all of Pasadena. So I think we need to take every chance to remind her that she represents us as well.
We should take an action in steering committee to remind her of that. Thank you, Erica. And thank you, India.
She ignored us last time.
Yeah, well,
We can keep being annoying though.
all right. Any further comments or ideas from the community?
Another message from India.
I couldn't fit her into my letter to the editor today, but she definitely was the worst culprit on Wednesday. Yeah. I'm not even really surprised, unfortunately, but Tina, I don't know if you still have your hand raised or if it's left over from your last comment, but if you want, you can have the floor.
Oh, yes. I just had something that I thought of. Sorry, I clicked the wrong way. That's why it was clicked on and off. Well, I was just thinking, as I said before, some people said, oh, it wasn't a problem, or that wasn't really it, or it's taken care of. But then I was thinking of someone I know who is biracial, who posted something a while back saying, just stop breaking the law. And many people made comments saying this really happens and sharing experiences. But I wonder if people who are of color, who've experienced racism, police brutality, or they've had a close friend or family member experience this, it seems like if they give their first person or second person account in some sort of public event or when speaking to people, I wonder if enough of those things would start to make a dent and people might be more open. I mean, I don't have the answers, but I just thought about that. It just seems like until I mean, I haven't experienced racism and I haven't witnessed any overt acts or any violence. I haven't. But over the years, I've heard different things. Like someone has a friend who has an expensive high-end car who's Black, who's been pulled over. My younger cousin has a friend who's a large Black male who gets pulled over a couple times every year for no reason, and just various experiences. And that's not that I was closed, but I just wasn't familiar. So I wonder if something like that could be incorporated in a way to expand people's interest in the group and in the cause with speakers where people could even address that. So if people are speaking to a group, maybe say, yeah, I've heard people say, yeah, it's not a problem, or just stop breaking the law, or it was a problem taken care of. But here's my experience. Here's my son or daughter's experience, or my parents' experience. Storytelling of factual events and for any cause can make a difference. So that's all. And if it's if it's incorporated into something, the messaging, like if you're in an event, even address the comments that you hear or post on Facebook that you see. I've seen plenty of those where people just really seem to be in denial, and directly and respectfully address that, saying, I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this, but I'm here to tell you, this is what happened to me. This is what happened to my father, my grandfather, my niece or nephew, even within the past 10 years. I think that might be a powerful way to address that in a way where you're not alienating anyone, but you're saying, hey, I hear you saying this, but these are my experiences. That's all.
Thank you again, Tina. All right. Anyone else? From India, also the subtle things. Hogan pardoned the people lynched in the past, when it should have been expungement. Pardons still indicate guilt, but no one is speaking up about that. That's a very good point, India. All right, that was a somber note, but regardless, I thank you for it. If there are no further suggestions from the community, we can stop recording and move into open chat, recreation, social, and community hour.
All right, I will stop recording unless anyone says, no, don't do that.